Hey guys, this is Paco the Realtor and podcast number 16. And today I'm going to talk about how I lost a listing this week because my name is Paco. So I got a referral from someone out of state for someone that's going to be selling their house in the Menifee area. And I had never met them. And so they give me their phone number. I reach out to them earlier this week. We set up an appointment. I go over there. Beautiful home. But they're in a very unique area. And the area is, they're surrounded by new development. So they're competing with new development. And so it's a very unique situation. So when you pull up comparables, there's probably 40 of them in the last 90 days. That is never happens. In today's time, you rarely get 3 or 4. So normally the way it works is I go in, I give a presentation on how we're going to do this. I kind of see the property, kind of tell them what a price point I think they're going to be at, and we go from there. Well, in this situation, I couldn't do that because there's 40 comparables. So I have to think like an appraiser. And I have to anticipate what they're going to look at, what they're not going to look at. So we get a tour of the house. They have an absolutely beautiful backyard. They're in a cul-de-sac. They got a lot of things going for them. But I make it very clear to them, your competition is the new development. Why would someone buy your house when they can go buy a brand new one 4 blocks down? So that's your competition. And the psyche of someone is that they rather have a brand new house. They're going to pay full price. They rather have a new house than someone that's a resale house. So they agreed that that was probably the scenario, and they're very curious on the numbers. So we sit down at the table, and I explain to them what the steps are going to be and how I need to get all this stuff done. And I asked them if they have any questions. And no, they really don't, which is rare, by the way. But it also sets up a little flag in my head. And I'm thinking, I'm a great people person. I'm great at judging people. I'm great at figuring out what people's personality types are. I had no idea what these people's personality type. They were great poker players. They weren't giving me anything. They weren't giving me anything about anything. I'd ask them about their past. They didn't want to talk about it. I asked them about their jobs. They pretty much said it's none of your business. I asked them about their goals. They said, we want to sell the house this summer. But they wouldn't give me much. So I thought, okay, these are just very secretive, shy people. I could tell by the house that it was turnkey, very clean. So they both work from home. They had no kids. So they were definitely career people. And I can also tell that they're very organized. And so that's the only thing I could tell from them. And I've actually, funny thing is I've had a few listing appointments in the last few weeks where both parties have worked from home. So it's kind of a trend. I think it's just coincidence, but kind of a trend I've seen the last few weeks. So anyways, I tell them I need time to, now that I've seen the house, to digest this data, find out fact from fiction, go actually talk to the new developers that are 4 blocks from your house, and actually see what the average home price is going for, because they're not on the MLS. What's the direct competition of it? What are the incentives they're giving? You know, they usually give $10,000 to $15,000 in incentives, and they agree, like, yeah, we'd be very curious. So I leave. This is a Friday. I tell them I need all weekend to get this data done. They're like, no, absolutely. So Monday morning, I email them and say, hey, here's a preliminary date I have. Let me know when we can talk. Nothing. Ghosted. Then I email them again. Ghosted. And I know they work from home. And I also know they're opening my email. So I got a referral from someone out of state for someone that's going to be selling their house in the Menifee area. And I had never met them. And so they give me their phone number. I reach out to them earlier this week. We set up an appointment. I go over there. Beautiful home. But they're in a very unique area. And the area is, they're surrounded by new development. So they're competing with new development. And so it's a very unique situation. So when you pull up comparables, there's probably 40 of them in the last 90 days. That is never happens. In today's time, you rarely get 3 or 4. So normally the way it works is I go in, I give a presentation on how we're going to do this. I kind of see the property, kind of tell them what a price point I think they're going to be at, and we go from there. Well, in this situation, I couldn't do that because there's 40 comparables. So I have to think like an appraiser. And I have to anticipate what they're going to look at, what they're not going to look at. So we get a tour of the house. They have an absolutely beautiful backyard. They're in a cul-de-sac. They've got a lot of things going for them. But I make it very clear to them. I can see through my email, I have a little software on it that they're opening my emails. But they're not responding. Immediately red flag. I'm like, So I send them a text message. No response. So now I know something's up. If you really are looking to communicate and sell your house and have a sincere conversation, you're not going to ghost me. So I knew something's up. Finally, 2 days later, they respond and like, all right, let's just set up a call. You don't need to come in. Another red flag, but I'm okay with that. So I email them ahead of time the data, and then that way they can have time to review it. Then I set up a Zoom call, and we set up a call. And I'm going through the Zoom and explaining to them, hey, there's 3 different value points here. If you include the new comparables, houses that haven't been built, if you include the ones that sold in the last 90 days, and if you include all the developers that are right across the street, but the houses are $50,000 cheaper. So I kind of was giving them the big picture of it, right? And then I was helping them focus it down. So then I help them focus it down to, look, we're only going to work on your development. Here's the price points. Here's what it is. Here's what I think we need to do. Here's how we're going to beat the competition. And we move forward. Do you have any questions? And again, no questions. But I know I can feel something's up. So I start probing and asking questions. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? And they're not giving me much. Finally, one of them says, I have a question. It's kind of not outside of real estate, but is Paco your real name? Now, when he first asked this, I didn't think much of it. And the reason I didn't think much of it was because I get that a lot. If you look at my paperwork that I send to be actually signed, it comes from Francisco Lisa Jr. So my thinking is that they looked me up at the Department of Real Estate, saw that my name is actually Francisco Lisa Jr., and probably were just asking, well, why Paco? So I gave them the answer I always give, which is, well, my real name is Francisco Lisa Jr. That's what's going to be on the paperwork. That's what the Department of Real Estate has, but I go by Paco. And, the reason that is because, like Roberts, they call him Bob's. I go, it's the same idea. She's like, okay, that makes sense. But she didn't tell me why. Then I said, do you have any other questions? He goes, yeah, I do. He goes, I know it's real important to us that, we have a good relationship with the person we're going to sell this house to. I said, okay. And they're like, what do you think of politics? I'm like, excuse me? Yeah, what do you think of politics? I go, business and politics don't mix. They never mix, and they're not going to mix. I don't mix that. So, to me, that's not important. He goes, well, again, we want to be connected to the person we know, and, we'd like to know. So I'm like, well, if you must know, I'm a registered independent. I'm not a Republican. I'm a Democrat. I'm a registered independent, and I vote based on property rights because that's what I do for a living. Oh, okay, that makes sense. But just this weird feeling I'm getting. I'm like, They don't ask me these questions. The Paco question, I get all the time. But the politic question, I'm like, So then I started thinking, well, maybe they've seen my videos because I do a lot of videos. So I asked them, have you seen any of my social media? They're like, we don't have social media, so no, we haven't. Oh, so that's not it. So we end the call, and we agree that they're going to review the data and get back to me. 4 hours later, I get a text message that says, we've gone with another realtor. Okay. I had asked them if there was another realtor. They said there was not, so they lied. I had asked them, for feedback. They never gave it. And then all of a sudden, the political question came in, and then my name, and I started thinking to myself, there's more to this. So I sent them a text message, say, well, thank you for the opportunity. Can you please tell me what I can do better for next time? No response. No response. 2 days go by, no response. So I sent it again. I said, look, I do this for a living. This is how I feed my family. I really would like to know what I can do better so I can make sure I do it. Simple question. They finally respond. And their response is the following. Let me read this exactly. They actually emailed it to me. We just felt that the other realtor was better. That was it. Nothing more, nothing less, no constructive criticism, nothing. But I couldn't leave it at that. And I couldn't leave it at that because I need to know. So I call one of them and they answer the phone. And I said, I do not mean to put you on the spot. I do not want to be a jerk. I am sincerely just trying to find out, trying to find out what I can do better. That's all. You're not going to hurt my feelings. And the answer is, we just felt you weren't enough connected to the community. I have no idea what that means. I am involved in the community more than anybody. So, make a long story short, my conclusion is the following. We just didn't hit it off personality-wise to start. I get along with 99% of the people. They were the 1% I just couldn't figure out. They wouldn't give me anything. They wouldn't show me their cards. They wouldn't engage, nothing. They were defensive from the second I walked in. Then with the political question and then the name question, I honestly think it had a lot to do with it. I think they felt they needed to be comfortable with whoever sold their house. We had nothing in common. They were from a different country, up north, Canada, from the snow, no kids. When I talked about my kids, my daughter, mariachi, they didn't even know what mariachi was. So I really think I failed to connect. And that's so rare. It just drives me up the freaking wall. It drives me crazy to know that. I am blessed that I pretty much have like a 95% success rate on listings. If I meet with them, I get 95% of them. So it is extremely rare when I don't get a listing. Very rare, because my value that I show is excellent. But not on this one. I don't even know if they were looking at my value. They might have been looking at something else. But it just goes to show. Sometimes you just don't know. But I have a feeling in this one, it was, unfortunately, because my name was Paco.